lot, Geek fans. It's time for another Geek Reviews, and this week we are reviewing Walking Dead Season 6. This is a spoiler review. We're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's your warning. Jacob, go.
Okay, so you can check out our thoughts on the first half of the season in our other videos that we've done. But our whole consensus was that we liked it. It wasn't great, but we liked it overall.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and going into the second half, I thought it was very well done. It had a lot of high points. It had some negatives that we'll get into later. But overall, I really liked the second half. They got over the whole, fake death of Glenn thing that they had in the first half, but they focused on more characters like Daryl and Carol, and more stuff between. They now have a relationship between Michonne and Rick, which is a very interesting aspect, I think. But I want to talk about the episode coming back from the mid-season finale, which should have been the mid-season finale, I thought, because this was an insane episode, I thought, and it came straight out of the comic books with, I called it, Carl lost his eye, he got shot right in the head, and he survived, and it was from that kid who I just wanted that whole family to die, and they did, thankfully. They got all of that out of the way. Now he's primed to become, the next governor, whatever. But what did you think about the second half overall?
Jacob, that first episode back was amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of that family really either. Yeah. I was always kind of annoyed. I'm like, oh god, I especially hated the kids. Mm-hmm. At first, there's a brief moment when like the walker grabs the kid and bites him, and they show the mom. I'm like, wait, is this a dream sequence? It's a little. I'm not quite sure what's happening.
All the coloring was very saturated.
Yeah,
it was very strange.
So for a brief moment, I was confused, and then the kids started like crying or yelling, and I just started laughing. And then the mom, oh no! I could not stop laughing. That scene was so hilarious. The car got shot. I was hoping he was dead, but. It still got shot. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I loved that episode. That was great. A lot of good zombie action. But overall, I am kind of not too happy with Walking Dead.
Okay.
And when I mean Walking Dead, I don't just mean this season. I mean in general. God damn, are you repetitive?
Yeah.
You do the same things. There's no. The story's going nowhere. And I guess that's how the comic book is. But that's not what I like. I don't like that. It's just repetitive. It's the same shit over and over. The same format too. They have a couple episodes that are really exciting, a lot of action, and because they run out of their budget, they have a bunch of boring episodes. Yeah. There's one episode here, I can't remember what it was, like 3 or 4 episodes past the mid-season finale, where I almost like fell asleep. I'm like, this is terrible. It's so boring, and everything's so predictable. So I started becoming bored, and I started becoming very frustrated by the Walking Dead formula, which in the past I've gotten very frustrated with, but then they always kind of came back a little bit. But I see now, I think the show is just going to be like this. This is how it's always going to be, and I'm not sure if I even want to keep watching the show. It's just so much the same. It's good when it's good. The second episode of this season, when the wolves attack, and Carol's hacking people and shit, I was stunned by the episode. It was so good. And then other episodes, like the Morgan episode, just so dull and boring. Who cares? I don't want to see this.
Yeah, they finally had him get over his whole killing thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, finally. But,
I got to do an editorial about this bullshit morality they put in some of these shows or comic books and comic book movies. Oh, it's like, oh, get over this. It's so shallow.
Yeah. I agree with you that they do definitely have some episodes that are way more exciting than other ones, but I think that I just enjoy those episodes when they come on, and I find things to enjoy about the other episodes, because I don't know, I think that most of them are pretty good. They do have some episodes that are just like, well, why is it even here? It's just like a filler episode.
Yes, and they started that trend in season 2.
Yeah,
season 1 was only 6 episodes. Season 2 was 13, and then they upped it to 16 episodes because AMC's making money.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
they should tighten it. Go back. Go to 10.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the good episodes though. One that I really enjoyed was one was their raid on that camp that they have.
Alexandria.
No, the raid on the Alexandria's raid on the
the Jesus city where Jesus is. You know the guy.
That I really liked. Oh no, it wasn't Jesus's place. It was it was in Negan's place.
Negan's place. Yes.
That was a very good episode, I thought, and
another exciting episode. And I loved Carol. She started like having this nervous breakdown, but it didn't affect her fighting abilities. Like she was all fucked up and like, but her fighting abilities, she was a total badass.
Yeah. But I like this episode, but you probably didn't. The episode with Jesus. Did you like that episode?
Yeah, it was fine.
Because that was kind of like a side episode. I thought it was like it was kind of like Rick and Daryl were like the Dukes of Hazzard and just like going on a road trip together.
Here's why that side episode worked for me, where say the Morgan episode didn't. That led somewhere.
Yeah.
The introduction of Jesus as a character did something.
Yes.
The showing the background of Morgan did nothing to push the story forward. It did nothing. It was worthless. I didn't need to see that. It didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and that was like a 90-minute episode too. That Morgan episode.
I don't know. It felt like a 90-minute episode.
Yeah.
And it was just so cheesy so much of the time. When that guy saves Morgan at the end, the guy's been shown that's training Morgan as a complete badass. And at the end, he just turns his back to the walker and gets bit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here. The other thing, lazy storytelling. Throughout the entire second half of the season, Negan's crew are bitches.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah, they
The
do.
Walking Dead people, Rick's crew, the dictatorship destroys them in every encounter. Every encounter. Dozens of people die. So many die.
It's not until the final episode where they finally up their game and just like, we gotta stand up against this dictatorship, I guess. But
why would it doesn't make any sense?
From the episode of from the hilltop, they're built up to be these big people that are like just like bullying everyone around, but not really.
Not really. They never do any bullying. They always get their asses handed to them, except for the very last episode.
In the comic books, it was handled much more well because that whole episode where they go up to the hilltop, that was straight out of the comic books, like every single scene basically. But once they leave, that's when they encounter Negan for the first time. So you didn't really have all that stuff where they're like, killing all Negan's character people and everything.
I mean, but at one point, Daryl shoots a rocket launcher at him.
I love that though. I was just like, what the fuck?
It was awesome, and then I'm like, but it made no sense.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
They didn't see them fighting the guy. I mean, they had the camera, so we couldn't see where Daryl was. But the guys on the bikes could see the whole time.
Yeah, I know.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense.
And it also was a very convenient get out of jail free card. They played that like, how are they gonna get out of this situation now? Rocket launcher. And guess how they get out of this Negan situation? It's probably gonna be some other ridiculous thing that's gonna happen.
Well, okay, yeah. If they go along with the comic books, it'll be fine, hopefully. But I also want them to take their own direction. But that's when things go wrong.
So things go bad. Or it's not as magical get out of jail free card. Like,
no.
You know how they do that a lot.
Yeah. Like so some people are. So let's talk about the final episode. It was a bullshit cliffhanger. Everyone's really pissed about it. I'm kind of pissed. I don't really care that much. It shows end on cliffhanger sometimes, but it would have been much more impactful if they actually showed who it had killed. But someone really does die. Like that wasn't like him like hitting the camera over the head.
Right.
So and I think if they go along with the comic books, spoiler for the comic books, it's Glenn. But they had the whole thing with Glenn dying, not really dying. So I don't know if that would work. But it could be Maggie, which I would think would be a waste because she becomes a very interesting character later on in the series in the comic books. So it could be Carl, hopefully. It could be Abraham. It could be any of them besides Rick. Or Daryl. So
they got too much merchandise now with Daryl on it. No way. I guess he has a hunting show or something.
He has a motorcycle documentary.
Oh, motorcycle. Yeah, he can't do that.
Yeah. So I don't know who he killed, but whoever it is gonna have a big impact on the show. But I really like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan so far. I thought he did a really good job, and I love that they have Lucille in there, his bat. They kept the name. So in the comic books, he's a much more foul-mouthed character, but they kept the insanity there for him. They kept the character overall. So that's what I like seeing, and I want to see more of him and how his character evolves, I guess, throughout season 7.
I have no attachment in Negan as a character, so I heard that he swears a lot, and I think it's kind of stupid that he can't do it here, but since I don't know him as a character, it doesn't bother me. He doesn't do it per se.
Yeah.
And the performance was fine, except it feels again like, oh, here's like another kind of psychopathic guy.
Yeah.
We've kind of encountered this kind of character
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Like the governor, for example.
Yeah. And in the comics, they do the exact same thing with every single villain. Even in that, they can't find a way to come up with a different type of villain, and like they add in like their own type of thing to the character, but they're all just some insane psychopath with an army of people. So I think they'll try to have a better story arc with Negan than they did with the governor. So because he has a very large story arc in the comic book, so I think they can do something really interesting with him in the show at least. So I'm really looking forward to see what they do with him and Lucille. I'm excited to see him kill more people with his bat covered in barbed wire. So I'm excited to see more of that. But like you said, I want to see more consistency out of The Walking Dead. I want to see just more straightforward storyline, not up and down.
This writing, the team, as soon as the first season ended, which I thought was well written, I thought it was great. The first episode of Walking Dead is still easily my favorite episode. Yeah. It's still, the first episode of The Walking Dead, the pilot, is still my favorite pilot of all time.
Yes.
That's the tone I wanted. And as soon as the first showrunner got fired and they got some replacement, the quality, right from season 2, went downhill. And the writers became lazy. There's so much lazy writing in this show. I talked about the Morgan episode, the lazy writing. You can see that in the first half review. A lot of laziness. And again, the Walkers, I wish, and I'm not sure how close this is to the comic book, but I really wish they pushed the Walkers back a little more. Like make them less of a thing. Like, make the Walkers just a chaos element, and not so much of a threat. Like say they're fighting Negan's crew.
Yeah.
Here's some walkers. What the hell? Oh, shit. What the hell's going on now?
Yeah.
Right? The fact that they're still constantly they threatened by walkers and how dumb they are.
Yeah,
There's so many scenes where the walkers kill them and really?
How are you still falling for this?
Yeah, how do you still fall? How do you still not know how to deal with this problem?
Yeah.
Why are you not wearing body armor? And also, and I know they kind of got away from this, but in the first season, they made it look a little bit like a science thing, like it was realistic. Oh, something happens to their brain. Also, earlier on, one of the scientist that's worked for the governor says they do starve to death. Yeah. They do die, but it's very slowly.
Yeah.
But no walker ever dies.
Yeah,
they don't die.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter how rotten they are. They don't fall apart.
Yeah, but we don't see a dead walker on the side of the road without a hole in his head.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't die, and it's like, by now a lot of these walkers are just walking around in the middle of the woods. You see some of the ones they have, and they're so rotted apart. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's like getting into the fantasy realm. Like it should be like 28 days later. They
Yes.
starve. Eventually,
Yeah.
they eat up their body. They eat the energy supply.
Yeah.
This show is just veering off. It's too repetitive for me.
Yeah, I still really enjoy it. Like for me, those things are just kind of nitpicks. But there's still issues, but they're smaller for me. One thing that I want to mention again, another negative for me, I didn't really like what they did with Carol's character this season, or the second half of the season.
The second half.
Yeah, it was very awkward. I thought it didn't really make any sense. I was just like, she's against killing people. She doesn't want to kill people anymore. I didn't really understand what they were going for.
What I saw was someone who was having a nervous breakdown, with someone like as post-traumatic stress syndrome, coming back from war.
Yeah.
So first she was just a weak character, and then she learned to cope and become a badass, and then she's like, holy shit, look what I've done.
It makes sense, but I thought it was handled.
It was handled poorly.
Yes, it was handled poorly, and just like a lot of characters' arcs in this show, they handle it very poorly.
Yeah,
they come up with great ideas, but then they don't execute them well.
They're sloppy. But Jacob here, just to remind you, we rate on a grading system, an A, B, C, D, F,
Yes. That's
what we do for we rate the whole season, right? Are we rating the whole season?
Yep.
Let's rate the whole season.
Yes.
Jacob, what would you give it?
Season as a whole, I'm going to give a B.
I'm giving this season a C.
All
And I
right.
think it's mediocre. I'm pretty sure that's lower than whatever I gave the first half because I thought the first half was better. And I thought the second half, over and over again, they're blowing away everybody. Negan's guys are a joke. They're no threat, no threat whatsoever to, to the dictatorship.
In season 7, they need to have them be an actual threat to them, just like they started to be in the last episode of the season.
When they suddenly got all these guys that they didn't decide to deploy before.
Yeah.
They kept deciding, well, let's attack them in groups of 12.
Yeah. Yes, so they need to improve a lot for season 7, but hopefully they will, and hopefully they show right away who Negan kills, because if not, people are going to riot in the streets. Yeah.
Well, I'm probably going to come back for season 7, and I really don't want to. Anyways, folks, this has been Geeks at the Movies. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you.